Good night again, viewers. We are back again. Jamal talking a lot more CPL. And don't forget, this year's CPL again is presented by our title sponsor, Republic Bank. And we just want to round up the Trinidad team. And your thoughts are that they will get quite far in that tournament?
They usually do.
Okay, they usually do. So Jamal's thoughts are that they will get quite far in the tournament. I think they have enough experience to do that. Quite a few seasoned campaigners. We move on to our next team, the new team of the tournament, Jamal, Antigua Falcons. There's quite a new franchise. I remember there was a franchise, and let's let our viewers know, there was a franchise in Antigua before, which was the Antigua Hawks. I mean, I know in the inaugural CPL, Johnson Charles was part of that team. And you just look at the Antigua and Barbuda Falcons. Just looking at this team there, you have Justin Greaves, Amadullah Amazai, Jama Hamilton, Teddy Bishop, Kofi James, Joshua James, Joel Andrew, Kelvin Pittman, Shema Springer, Hayden Walsh, Faka Zaman, Chris Green, Mohamed Amir, Fabian Allen, Brendan King, Imad Wazim, and Russian Primus. What do you think, Jamal?
Seems like they are following the Trinidadian model, experience and youth in combination. You do have international players in the ranks and significant Pakistani presence. Faka Zaman, destructive opening batter.
Yes, and as you would know, or I'm not sure if you would have known, this Antigua Falcons team is almost the most of those players were part of the Jamaica Talawas team, which is no longer part of the CPL. So it looks like the Jamaica team has now sort of moved to Antigua, and you can see
home there.
Yeah, they found a home in Antigua. Beautiful place to play cricket. The fans support the cricket quite a bit there. It's always a party playing in Antigua, and I'm certainly sure the Jamaican players who have gone to that franchise would enjoy playing there. And you have the likes of their captain of last year, was Brendan King. He's been injured. It's nice to see him back into the thick of things. He's there, and you said there's a huge Pakistani presence, and Imad Wazim has been part of the Jamaica team for quite a while. When I played, he was part of that team too. You look at Mohamed Amir, who was there last year, one of the leading bowlers for that Jamaica team, who had a very good run. Then you look at guys like, you see Amazai, who's a Afghanistani in terms of your overseas players. And it's nice to see a widowed island in there. Teddy Bishop from Grenada, who's gotten an opportunity of, he's made his debut at international level this year for the West Indies, or last year, or late last year. But Teddy Bishop has played one-day cricket, I think, for the West Indies, and he comes in, the young Teddy Bishop, very talented batter. Looking forward to quite a bit from him. A newcomer again, Justin Greaves, who has been part of who just got called up to the test team, and he moved from the Windward Islands franchise to the Leeward Islands franchise. He's found a home there, and he's now part of the Antigua and Barbuda franchise, and his cricket has blossomed over there. We have the young Joel Andrew, very, very exciting player. Joel Andrew, who has been part of the West Indies under-19 World Cup team, wicketkeeper batter. He's been scoring hundreds. He has done well. He made his first class debut this year, and he has done very, very well and acquitted himself quite well. Russian Primus, who was part of the St. Lucia franchise last year for the last 2 years.
Contributed well.
Yes, and contributed well for that franchise. He's moved and found a home in Antigua and Barbuda. And like I said, you have a Jamaican presence there in terms of the Jamaicans that have gone there is Brendan King. You have Fabian Allen, who are the two Jamaicans who have gone there. But yeah, you look at this team there, a few new faces, guys who would have probably been in and around the some franchises but have not gotten the opportunity to showcase their talent. Guys like Joshua James, he was part of the Jamaica franchise also. And Hayden Walsh, he's back, and he'll feel quite happy playing at home because he plays for the Leeward Islands. Good team, and let me tell you, most of the times when people, the newer teams, sort of put up, a good fight, because there's really and truly the Antigua and Barbuda Falcons, when they come up against those teams, they really have nothing to lose.
Yes, it's something to say about untested commodities.
That's true.
They play with that freedom, the weight and burden of expectation. They're free from that.
Yes,
so guys like Teddy Bishop have a chance to introduce themselves once more to the fans, to play against some quality cricketers, some big names. Really looking forward to something special from this youngster. But it must be said, when you've put up the Trinidadian team on the screen and you compare that to the Antigua and Barbuda Falcons, you have no choice. You must label these guys as the underdogs of the tournament.
Yes, the underdogs of the tournament, because they're a new team. I'm certainly sure the rest of the teams are not going to take them lightly, because they have within their team is quite a bit of experience. Within their team, you have guys who've played Test cricket within that team. You have Jamar Hamilton, who's a wicketkeeper batter, who has captained the Leewards franchise for a number of years and is still playing. And the Leeward Islands have been doing very, very well at first class cricket. So his leadership has been very, very instrumental in bringing that level of cricket up at the Leeward Islands franchise. So most of the guys, they have a few young players who would relish the opportunity to play that level of cricket, and they would be hungry. So they're not a team to take lightly, but when they come up against any team, you would like to think that they will be the underdogs.
For sure. But just taking a look at this team, you see some quality in the bowling. You see Imad Wazim to open the bowling with some left-arm spin.
Especially Mohamed Amir.
These are proven performers
for Jamaica. And he came back out of retirement, gets back into the Pakistan team and played the World Cup. So
testament to his quality.
Exactly. So they're not... Chris Green, yes.
But my point is that with all of this quality here, and you have Fak as a man at the top, you have Fabian, ball striker, prominent ball striker in the middle. But who's going to score the runs for this team?
Well, Brendan King is there, who's the captain. And Brendan King, last year, almost single-handedly took Jamaica to the final again. Brendan King, if he shows any of the half of that sort of form that he had last year, he would be very... And I'll tell you what, you mentioned him, and then you mentioned Fakhar Zaman, who's an opener. Right? And Fakhar Zaman is opening for Pakistan, and you put those two together with a left hand and a right hand combination, and they could be very, very difficult and very dangerous at the top of the order for them. And then you have the likes of Fabian Allen, who comes down in the middle to do the heavy lifting in terms of the big hitting for them. He would have a point to prove it, because he would want to get back into the international team, especially playing the T20 version. So you have a few guys. Shamar Springer, who's not to be underestimated, who has done quite well for the Windward Islands in the recently concluded for the tournament, and he's ever improving. He made 100, so he's a very good all-rounder. Matter of fact, bowling all-rounder. So you have quite, for me, in terms of when you look at this team, You could see a little bit of inexperience, maybe one or two guys, but when you look at this team in terms of the 11 that's going to be on the park, they're not short of cricket. They're quite experienced. The only thing that they're short of is maybe some of them playing consistently at that level, not at that level, but playing consistently in the CPL. But most of them, those players who would come into that setup, especially in the first 11, would have had the experience playing at international level or playing at the CPL level. So to be quite frank, I do not think that they're a team to be taken lightly. And I know that their coach would be Shivnarine Chandapal. So the very same staff that was with the Jamaica team when they won 2 years ago, right, is the very same staff that's going to be with that team there. So there's some familiarity with the staff and some of the players. They would be familiar with each other. I'm certainly sure Brendan King would, if he's the captain, we're not sure yet, he would have, know how to navigate things with the guidance of his coach Shivnarine Chandapal and the rest of the staff. But I do think that they're a team to look out for. They're not coming up against any of those teams that have been in the CPL. You would label them as the underdogs. But
Almost
you know what they say about
peril,
underdogs.
though.
Pardon?
Almost your own peril to label them like that.
Yes. I think the Antigua and Barbuda Falcons, I'm excited to watch them play, and I do think they should be able to handle themselves quite well, and maybe try to get as far as they can in deep into the playoffs.
It's just that for me, you mentioned a string of quality cricketers, each team for sure.
Yes.
It's franchise cricket, so you pull in guys that you believe are gonna do the business for you. But you would know, Gary, that you need that little extra edge. You need that extra bit of something that to get you over the line. So, and it's also about partnerships. So you mentioned, okay, at the top of the order, you have Farka and you have Brandon King. In the middle order for the runs, this is where I'm not really
Seeing too much.
Fabian coming in towards the end, right? The back end is where he has proven to be his most dangerous. He's a ball striker to be feared. But you need guys in that middle order there who can dig you out of a hole, beat the ball around and take it to the end. When you look at that Trinidadian team, the Guyana team, the St. Lucian team there, you can see that. But you have a bunch of youngsters who are unproven at that level. So this is where I think that the trouble is for this team.
Yes, and I share your sentiments. But just being devil's advocate here, you look at this team and then you talk about the middle. Not forgetting the Jamaica team last year. Imad Wazim was very instrumental with getting them over the line quite a bit of times. Then you look at Jamal Hamilton, who's played international cricket, who's played Test cricket. Justin Greaves, who is a batting all-rounder. Ball seam, could bat. And then Amazai, you have quite a few guys. I do think that in terms of the middle order, and what would work for them, is that most of those guys would have just played the recently concluded World Cup in the Caribbean. So those guys would have had the experience, and most of the guys that they have, especially with the overseas players, all of them would have played in the Caribbean.
I read the bowling.
Yes, would have played in the Caribbean.
The bowling is a dangerous unit. It's the batting for me.
I also thought last year, and even the year when Jamaica won, I thought maybe one of the players only did the heavy lifting, and most of the guys were batting around him, and that was Brendan King.
Possibly going in the same formula.
And possibly going with the same formula. And Brendan King, he seldom fails the Jamaica team, especially at the CPL level. So we've seen what he can do, and as long as Brendan King, and we've seen a more mature Brendan King, especially with his approach to his innings, and most of the times, because with the hundreds that he scored, within at international or CPL level, you could see that sort of maturity. But we are due for our final break. Jamal, we have a lot more cricket to discuss within the final break. We have another team to discuss again in our final break. So we go pay some bills now.